everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought that I would give you a close look at my bookshelves as they look right now in the middle of 2017. In the previous years I have done bookshelf tours, but this time around I think I'm going to just talk about my books and show you some close-up photos and views of them, and then also give you some facts on my collection. 5 minutes ago I counted my books on my shelves behind me that you see. I do have other shelves in my apartment with some books, but those books are books in my office for work, or they are old books I'm not sure I'm going to keep, or they are books that I just don't want to display on these shelves, so I'm not counting those. But on these shelves that you see behind me, I have a total of 480 books right now, which I'm so happy about. Books are amazing, and the more the merrier, I always say, and that goes for books as well. I tend to get rid of books that I didn't really like, so that there will be room for more books. For that reason, I have been able to keep that number quite stable in the past years, but there is room for more books so that I can expand my collection if I want to in the future. But right now I'm happy with the barely 500 books that I own. Let's talk a little bit about my bookshelves, which are from IKEA, and they are the ones called Billy. I have got 4 of them in total. They were quite easy to build, I think. I chose to get black shelves back in the days because I feel like the books pop out more whenever they are displayed on black shelves. But I'm pretty sure you can also get these specific shelves in white if you prefer that color. I will say about these black shelves that they do have to be dusted quite frequently, which I don't do often enough. I must admit that I dusted them just before this video, so they do look better now than they normally would perhaps. But as I said, I think the black color makes the books pop out even more on my shelves, and I just really love to spend my days staring at my shelves and my books because this collection makes me really happy. Now, if we take a closer look at some of my books, I do have a few series that I like to collect. For instance, I have the Margaret Atwood series, which is the vintage editions, and they pretty much look like this. They have a person on the cover. Not all people like that, but I do. And they are good paperback quality, and just I really like these editions. So whenever I decide to get a new book by Margaret Atwood, I always look to see if they have the book in this edition. Another edition that I would like to collect more of is the Shakespeare Hogarth editions, which look like this. Let me just show you. I only have 2 of these so far, but they are splendid. And basically this series is Shakespeare's plays rewritten in modern stories by very well-known and well-loved authors. Here we have, for instance, Anne Tyler and Margaret Atwood. I know there is a new book that is about to come out, I think in September if I'm not mistaken, called New Boy by Tracy Chevalier. I'm not too sure about that name, but it's one that I'm interested to read and own as well, because that one will be a retelling of Shakespeare's Othello. I also like to collect Robin Hobb's paperbacks because they look amazing, and also the books in themselves are so cozy and great for a fantasy read in the winter time, I think. So for instance, here we have Fool's Errand, which is a book in the middle of a long series, and I just really like the quality of her paperbacks and also the look of the books. I recently put up a photo on my Instagram with all of her book covers displayed, and it looks stunning, I must admit. So I do hope to get more of these editions in the future. Here we have John Irving, which is an author that I highly appreciate. Now, I really love these editions. I only have 2 of these, but it is, I don't actually know what this edition is called. I think it's just a basic paperback. Maybe they are called Black Swan. I think that's it. But it seems like a lot of his novels have been published in this edition. For instance, his novel The Cider House Rules is a book that I've never read and that I know is out in this edition, and I really want to get my hands on that book. Let's move on to some of my classics, which I naturally also really like to collect. First of all, I have my well-loved, well-known Penguin cloth-bound classics, which you can see behind me on my shelves in all of my videos, almost. What I love about these editions is that they come in beautiful format. As you can see, they all come with a ribbon bookmark, which is quite nice, I think. The cover is cloth-bound and absolutely stunning, and each book has a new motif which corresponds to the story, which is also a very neat feature, I think. The only thing about this edition that you must know is a thing I've been mentioning a lot of times, that they are quite fragile. Whenever you read them, when it's hot or when you are on the train or on the bus and you have it in your bag, the cover and the color do tend to kind of scrub off. So that, let me just show you. For instance, on this Northanger Abbey, we have some keys which have kind of rubbed off over the years, which is kind of a shame. Actually, it's a big shame, I think, because these books are so stunning. But other than that, I'm very proud about them and I love looking at them on my shelves as well. On this top shelf, I also have my Penguin English Library editions, which are the ones with the orange spine. I had to get used to that orange spine, but now that I have, it looks quite nice on my shelves. Especially the covers of these books are amazing, I think. And next to those Penguin English Library editions, I have my Penguin Classics editions, which I also really like. I kind of like the white spine that corresponds to the books, meaning that when they are standing next to each other on the shelves, it looks pretty nice with that white line. Here we have my Persephone Classics, which is another series of classics that I like to collect. Now these ones are just amazing to read because they have a really good quality to them, and also I like that some of them are grey, some of them come with beautiful covers. On the upper right corner of my shelves, I have my Anne Tyler collection, which looks so nice in this edition, which is the vintage edition. They come with colorful spines and also beautiful covers. Anne Tyler is one of my favorite authors. I really like reading her because she writes about everyday life in a beautiful way. So this is another series that I definitely tend to collect more books from in the future. Another kind of books that I like to collect are tall hardbacks, and it all started out with my middle shelves being quite tall, so that I knew I had to put my tall hardbacks in there, or tall paperbacks, that depends. Over the years I have started to really appreciate these hardbacks, which look amazing, and I tend to buy a book if I see that it's a tall hardback and one that I really want to get, just because I know that it's going to fit perfectly in my collection. I also have some smaller shelves on the upper and the lower parts of my bookshelves, which I of course use for my smaller books, whether that is hardbacks or paperbacks. Let's move on to the last part of this video, in which I would like to focus on some of the things on my shelves which are not books. First thing I have is this one, which is basically a book stamp which has my name on it, and I had it made on Etsy, I believe. But the thing is that I live in Denmark, so I had to pay quite a lot of money in taxes to receive this, but I think it was worth all the money. The reason why I wanted one of these is because I kind of like to read a book and love it and then give it my stamp. All of my books have this stamp, so whenever I borrow them out, people will know that this is my book. On my shelves you will also find quite a lot of cats. Not too many, I think, but for instance I have these letters that spell home on one of my shelves, and behind these letters we have some cats which I inherited from my grandmother, and I love them to pieces. One of them broke some years ago, I think, so we had to glue it back together, but they look so nice, so delightful, and also they look cozy, which I really appreciate when it comes to my book collection. I also have some other various cats, some fairy cats, and I have this mark with cats, which also carries my bookmark collection. And whenever I pick up a new book, I like to look through my bookmarks and find a mark that is perfect for that specific book. And I know I'm not the only one who does this. I think it's just a way to really care for your reading. Next to me here I have my Kindle, which I don't use often enough. I tend to really like reading physical books, and whenever I try to branch out and read ebooks or audiobooks, I always go back to the physical ones for some reason. But I do like the idea of having a lot of books on this device, especially if I'm traveling and I don't want to carry 7 books with me. This one is perfect for that. I just really have to get into reading ebooks. And I also like how this one makes sure that you don't buy a book and have it on your shelves, filling up space if you don't really like it in the end. Last but not least, I have this jar, which was supposed to be a TBR jar. I bought it some years ago and I placed all of my unread books in this jar in order to be able to draw a book whenever I didn't know what to read next. However, this system didn't work for me and I just tend to pick up whatever I'm in the mood for anyway, but I still have the jar and maybe it will be put to use sometime in the future. And that is it for this video. Those were all of my 480 books up close and also how I like to display them on my shelves. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until my next video, happy reading!